Good evening. I'm going to call tonight's regular Board of Education meeting to order. We'll start with the vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. And before we begin tonight's meeting, we'd like to acknowledge the tragic incident that occurred at Abundant Life Christian School. We're going to read a collective statement with each of us sharing a portion of it. First, on behalf of MMSD, we'd like to extend our deepest sympathies to students, staff, and families at ALCS. We are saddened and shaken by the tragic incident that occurred on Monday, which has not only impacted Madison, but also Wisconsin and the nation.
It is hard to find the words to truly express how sorry we are for all those impacted by this unimaginable incident. We are heartbroken for those who have lost their lives, those who were injured, and all who have experienced and are still experiencing emotional and physical trauma.
We are grateful to our first responders. Their quick response helped get students and staff to safety. Thank you all for your efforts. Your fast actions helped save lives and prevent further tragedy from occurring.
While many were saved, there are others who were lost. We honor the memories of student Ruby Patricia Varga, a 14-year-old freshman, and of teacher Erin Michelle West. We send our heartfelt condolences to their families.
Our hearts are with those who were injured and those who are in recovery. We know that the emotional impact can take a toll and encourage those who need support to reach out. There are resources available to help. Please don't hesitate to do so.
We hold in our thoughts those injured and still in recovery. We encourage all who need support to reach out to community members who need or know someone who needs support to reach out. Resources are available.
So connection with others is more important than ever. Please continue to look out for and be kind to each other. Madison is a resilient, strong, and compassionate community. We will get through this horrific event together.
Everyone deserves to feel safe when they go to school. Student and staff safety is a top priority, whether it is here in MMSD or at another school. All of us care about our students and want them to feel safe, enjoy learning, and be active members of their school community.
Thank you, board members, Dr. Gothard. Before we're going to close this and take a moment for silence, is there any other expression that should be shared or stated?
I just would suggest that if anyone needs support, that they can go to the United Way, has a fund if they want to help out at, and that will be on their website to be able to provide support for any of the victims.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to ask for a moment of silence this evening to acknowledge the community. We expect our schools to be safe places for students and staff to learn, teach, and work. On December 16th, 2024, Abundant Life Christian School experienced a horrific school crisis. Many of us felt anger, grief, anxiety, and sadness. ALCS is a strong community, and we continue to send them healing and comforting thoughts during the ongoing recovery process. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll now move into our public input section of the agenda. There were 44 written statements submitted for this meeting. 44 of the statements submitted were in support of the charter renewal for Badger Rock Middle School. We have a couple of people who have registered online to speak, and then we'll move to our in-person speakers.
Thank you. Our first online speaker is Al Weir.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Al Weir, and I am the English Language Arts content teacher at Badger Rock Middle School. I'd like to address the district's request that we increase enrollment by 20% and proficiency scores by 10% to receive a full 5-year renewal. This request is at best contradictory to ongoing positive feedback we receive during district walkthroughs and at worst either unknowingly or intentionally unachievable. We have 4 core classes at Badger Rock in the morning: ELA, math, social studies, and science. In the afternoon, students have a weekly specials rotation and project time, which is similar to advisory. Each of our 4 core classes is led by a content teacher and a CC teacher or staff member who work together in a co-teaching model to support every special education, multi-language, and general education learner in one inclusive environment for all 3 of their years at Badger Rock, with floating support from additional bilingual and special education staff. Our current enrollment, just below 100, allows us to divide students into 4 cohorts of 23 to 25, already surpassing the district average. A request to enroll 20 more students would push each class size to 30 or force us to restructure our full inclusion co-teaching model, effectively disrupting our momentum and the predictability and routines of every returning student to Badger Rock. Looping with our students in our inclusive co-teaching model allows for high expectations, consistent coaching, and continual accountability. Looping with our students in our inclusive co-teaching model allows us to prioritize the safety and support necessary to achieve a culture of learning, care, and community. This model allows us to prioritize relationship building, then continue to cultivate student growth by structuring authentic leadership opportunities for them when they return to our spaces as 7th and 8th graders. This model allows our students to feel a sense of belonging and ownership over their learning spaces. They get to experience increased academic and behavioral expectations in a familiar space with familiar faces. We see our students and we meet them as learners, as community members, as mentees, as family, every day, every year, every chance we get. And by teaching them all 3 years, we get many. So we play the long game. We set our sights on helping them develop their sense of self and their confidence as learners, and they grow. We teach them to problem solve and identify the tools they need to succeed, and they grow. We coach them through the natural ups and downs of the learning process, and they grow. We help them focus on their next step instead of a benchmark, and they grow. Asking us to restructure how our school is designed while improving proficiency scores in 3 years is absurd. It's an impossible request. Making a 5-year contract contingent upon increasing enrollment and proficiency is negligent of the growth our school has achieved and of the contextual realities in which we live that continue to impact our most disenfranchised learners at higher rates. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final online speaker is David Amen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for this opportunity. I have been on the Badger Rock Governance Council for the last 8 years. This represents my 3rd charter renewal. And I can say with deep conviction that this renewal has been the best of the 3. The amount of work that went into providing you the documents that you have been able to review was enormous. The workings behind the scenes that gathered the information in a thoughtful manner has, I believe, shown you the ability of this community school to come together as one. I am seeking a 5-year renewal on the basis of this document. Secondly, and importantly, I think that there's been a large amount of miscommunication about the enrollment into this organization. And we spoke to it at the last charter renewal. 100 is where we want to land. That has been our goal. And for some reason, the original charter had it at 125 based on the growth of the school footprint in the future, with an additional amount of space being added to the building itself. This did not come to fruition, period. So that said, the enrollment process has been a very interesting, I would say, problem that keeps rearing its head, and I'm not sure why the board keeps coming back to this 125 number. We have stated categorically it should be 100, and that's where I hope the board understands that we want to land in the charter, period, for all future renewals as well. Additionally, I would say in closing that the building is now owned by the district, and we should have a very good idea of what the cost to run the school is. And I think you'll find it to be a very economically run institution as a result. And then finally, we finally got the kitchen. The culinary arts program will start to run. And I think the growth of these students, as Ms. Weir had pointed out, is just going to be phenomenal over the coming period of the next 5 years. Please vote for a 5-year renewal. Thank you very much.
All right, we have 15 registered speakers for in person tonight. First up is Nan Youngerman, and then following will be Ernesto Diego Miranda Naxi, I think it is. Just as a reminder, there's a 3-minute clock that will start. On the podium, there's also a little black box. When you see the yellow light, it means you've got about 30 seconds left. The red light means you've kind of come to the end. If you're still finishing up a thought, feel free to take a few extra seconds and finish up. And welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Well, we're asking for a 5-year renewal, and I'm going to focus my remarks on 2 issues: enrollment and the drain of resources if the district's recommendation were adopted. The current contract was negotiated in February of 2020, before the effects of the pandemic were known. The contract calls for Badger Rock to achieve student enrollment of 120 by the end of the 24-25 school year, and to have maintained 105 to 120 enrollment during the prior years of the contract. Current enrollment, as you know, is about 92, and the enrollment for previous years has ranged from 85 to 97. Our facility only has 4 physical classrooms. There was ongoing discussion for many years about a phase 2 construction, which would have added a 5th classroom, but phase 2 never happened. And there are no current plans that it will happen. Moreover, since the current contract took effect, Southside Elementary School was approved by referendum and then constructed on the same site as Badger Rock. And this has altered the Badger Rock space and further complicated the ability to add a 5th classroom if still desired. Revising our contract might have been advisable, given the pandemic and the construction on our site at Southside Elementary. However, we have faced the challenge of working with 5 principals and I think at least 4 superintendents, and it's led to constantly changing faces and some uncertainty. Many, if not most, members of the current review, I don't think are aware of this or have been in our building during school hours or spoken with teachers, students, or families. We're looking forward to strong leadership and working relationships with the Doyle team. This was largely absent, for whatever reason, during the past several years. This is a critical missing piece. If enrollment were to increase to 120 students without adding a fifth classroom, the resulting class size would be among the highest for all district middle schools. Our very diverse student population, coupled with our physical space limitations, make an enrollment of 120 students highly problematic, if not unworkable. Drain of resources. The renewal process requires a tremendous commitment of time, human resources, and energy, which frankly could be better spent dedicated to student achievement. We went to great lengths to document our progress, and the thought of repeating this is daunting and perhaps unwarranted. So please give us some trust. We intend to deliver.
Thank you. Next up is Ernesto Diego Miranda. I think that's Nexi, or correct me if I'm wrong. And then after that will be Sarah Carber. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your names. We could, do you want to go to? Sarah, do you feel like you're ready to come up, and then maybe Ernesto, you could? Okay.
Technology is our friend and our enemy. Tell me when.
Ready for you, Sarah.
All right. I'm Sarah Carlson, Education Director for Rooted and the Farm and Education Manager at Badger Rock, where I've worked for the past 8 years. I want to paint you a picture of what makes this place so special. I want to walk you through our November Community Thanks for Giving meal, a free meal for students, families, and the community where we thank our supporters and celebrate Native American Heritage Month. You're greeted by the smell of 21 student-made soups, chili, pozole, French onion soup, homemade ramen, and more. A collaboration with their math class where they practice multiplying and dividing fractions via scaling recipes. Students and alumni in our youth employee program run a farm stand to sell produce they grew. Collard greens, turnip greens, tomatillos. You see 3 types of hot sauce made in their social entrepreneurship class. 15% of the profits support a social cause they chose. You see tomato sauce they canned, honey harvested from our bees, herbal salve made with medicinal plants and beeswax rendered from our hives, and cookbooks featuring dozens of recipes made with Rooted staff and guests from the community. Check your bags. Venezuelan empanadas, gumbo, wild rice, Chinese dumplings, and more. Prices are low, SNAP and EBT are accepted. You can sign up for the food pantry. You can also give input into what we grow and what programs we offer at the Badger Rock Neighborhood Center. In the cafeteria, you enjoy a meal made by Kip Thomas, Rooted's culinary arts manager, and our youth employees. You taste the wild rice casserole made by Kimberly Crowley, who has also taught our students the ho-chunk art of black ash basket making. You enjoy a pumpkin dish made by our students with Rooted's Forest Smart, highlighting Native culture. Rooted staff share the land acknowledgement created in partnership with Ho-Chunk President John Greendeer. We thank the many guests representing Ho-Chunk, Ojibwe, Oneida, Choctaw, and Potawatomi tribes who've been featured in our virtual workshop series and work with our students. Afterwards, you join Alton Sunny Smart, featured in the recent documentary Bad River, for dancing and drumming, and learn about corn braiding from Dan Cornelius of the Oneida Nation. You browse the student Yoruba beading project made in social studies. You see Badger Rock Middle School staff, Rooted staff, students, families, alumni, youth employees, and other community members building community across cultures and ages together. What you see are examples of youth gaining the skills and agency to contribute to food justice work in their own community. What you see are pathways for developing youth leadership. We never have to recruit for our youth employment program. There's more interest than we have funding to support. What you hear are current and former students saying this place feels like home. This is a place where students are seen, heard, and supported as whole people, where students don't slip through the cracks. Our vibrant and diverse student population has a range of needs, and the level of support they deserve would not be possible if we're asked to increase class sizes. And rooted programs that includes appropriate safety and supervision for students working with kitchen and construction tools. Badger Rock Middle School more than deserves a full 5-year charter renewal. Thank you.
Ernesto, do you want to come up now or do you still need to charge up? You think you're okay? All right.
So my name is Ernesto Diego Miranda Nashi. My time at Badger Rock started in a rooted gardening and cooking program the summer before 6th grade. Through that, I was able to feel more connected to the school personally before I even started attending. I graduated from Badger Rock in 2022, and since then, I have been working with the rooted location there. During my time as a student, I really enjoyed being in the building and having a connection with the teachers and staff. I felt very safe and comfortable with them. The project-based learning that is unique to this school really helped me find a way to prove that I knew what I was learning and that I understood fully what was being taught. The smaller environment also made it possible for teachers to have a personal connection with students instead of having it just be a name on an attendance sheet. And it's possible for me to have a sort of connection with them if I needed help outside of academic, like personal support. There are a lot of opportunities that Badger Rock offered to the students, including the gardening and culinary arts class. As a student, I learned how to grow organic produce, how to maintain a garden, and how to use the produce to cook things in a kitchen. During this class, there would also be many opportunities for guest chefs to present recipe from their culture to the class. As a youth employee, I can use these skills to actually use what I learned. I'm also able to take on leadership positions in these classes now that I can help out in the class and even be a guest chef myself to share recipes from my own culture. I know firsthand from the Badger Rock community neighborhood where I also live that food insecurity is a major issue. And I think it's very important for students in this area to be able to learn how they could use this program to learn how to be self-sustainable without having to depend on, or without worrying on financial responsibilities. I think Badger Rock is a very important school for the kids, and the location is very important for that. I've been granted a lot of opportunities through my rooted work as well. I've been able to intern with State Representative Francesca Hong, and I've been admitted into the STEM Academy during my junior and senior years at MATC. I want more youth to have the opportunities that I have been granted to succeed. So please grant Badger Rock a full 5-year charter renewal. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next two speakers will be Shirley Kohler and then followed by Mark Johnson.
Hi, I'm Shirley Kaler. I'm the nurse assistant at Badger Rock. And yes, my name got Americanized somewhere along the line. So it means charcoal maker. I'm wearing a pin. I have a new piece of jewelry. It's a heart. It says I support public. I love public. I got this at a conference or a meeting this weekend, of which some spoke, which thank you very much, because that meant a lot. So everyone here has been talking about class size and number of years and things. I've been with the school for 10 years. So I've seen a lot of people transfer out. I've seen a lot of one-year charters, and I've seen the stress of the one-year charters. I've also been part of the 5 years. So I'm just going to say up front, I am totally in support of 5 years renewal. And that the school is a beautiful school. I see it from a perspective. Now, anybody want to guess as to what our #1 health office visit is? It's musculoskeletal, because we've got middle schoolers. Their bodies are growing so fast. They don't realize their size and how fast they're growing. So they're a little awkward at times. #2 is anxiety, mental health. That's a big part. And it's also why a lot of the families choose Badger Rock, is because what we offer. I have a great support staff here. They are really talented. They work hard. They love what they do. I have no problem ever going to any of these people and talking or sharing about a student I might have a concern about, and knowing it's going to be dealt with and we're going to come to a positive outcome. That is one reason why I stay at Badger Rock. I've had opportunities to go to other schools, but I stay at Badger Rock. Badger Rock is very unique. I have worked at other schools in summer school and also helping out when there's been staff shortages. There's nothing in comparison. So, one of the things that the kids ask me, you want to take a guess what the one important question the students ask me? No? How many kids do you have? Well, and I tell each and one of those students, just about every day I have 90+ students, and they're all my children. So thank you. And the last thing I'll say is that we had a 6th grader who was very much in frequent flyer mode last year. Last year at the end of the school year, I said, "Are you coming back to Badger Rock?" The student said, "Yes. I don't know where else I would go."
Hi, yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I want to thank everybody here from Badger Rock. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm a teaching faculty in the School of Education at UW-Madison, and my own courses and research and policy work have been on national and global trends in climate change and sustainability education. My specific connection to Badger Rock was a service learning course taught last spring, in which we placed 6 or 7 students as part of community-based learning. And I have to say, my understanding of the school, it was, kind of a model of how to do this kind of environmental education and project-based learning. And the actual experience of the school was a revelation. I mean, it's an extraordinary place. And the combination of the dedicated staff, the exceptionally innovative teaching model of the co-teaching and the integration of the courses, the project-based learning, the site itself, the use of the building as a living laboratory, and also the incredible dedication and talent of Rooted and the Rooted staff. I mean, it really is an extraordinary place. And I think it entirely deserves to be nurtured and supported. I think the argument about the lack of a 5th classroom does call into question the enrollment projections. I think it's working exceptionally well. even with a very diverse and interesting student body. And I would strongly encourage an additional 5 years. I also think there are additional opportunities as part of the City of Madison's area redevelopment plans. It is a very high priority for the city to develop urban agriculture. And I do think that this can be Badger Rock, and the Badger Rock Neighborhood Center can be a model for that entire part of the city. If nurtured and supported, it could be a model for the district, and it could be acknowledged and deserves to be acknowledged statewide and nationwide. I think there are also additional opportunities for partnerships and cooperation with the university, not just in the School of Education, but as Sarah mentioned, in the Office of Tribal Relations, the School of Human Ecology, the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, the Horticulture Program. There are many, many units at UW that would have a lot to learn from cooperation with Badger Rock. I also think there are new opportunities for cooperation with the state DPI and the Wisconsin Climate Education Hub. And my impression of the school is that it is really emerging as one of the most extraordinary institutions like this in the state of Wisconsin and potentially in the region. I would strongly urge a 5-year renewal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Lexi Ray, and then followed by Brea Adams, or Brea.
Good evening, board members. My name is Lexi Ray. This is my 11th year at Badger Rock, and we are in a better place now than we've ever been. I'm the instructional coach, avid coordinator, and bilingual resource teacher. I'm beyond proud to stand with my colleagues, current and former students and families, and other community members and partners to present our story and advocate for a full 5-year renewal again this time. It is exciting to see what we've accomplished through all of the personal and global roller coasters and where we are headed in the next 5 years. As you likely know, growth must be accomplished first and foremost in the attempt to reach proficiency. We don't talk about growth enough, and we don't even have a good way to measure growth of success skills in our educational system. So we tell stories, we engage, and we collaborate to better understand ourselves and each other and build a future where every person can thrive. If you listen to the stories, you will hear growth and setbacks. What you might not hear is where it all started. How most of our students don't come to us already knowing that they can do math, that they can read and engage with a story, and that their story is entwined with whether or not they think they can. And celebrating that growth when they finally believe that they can do hard things and that they are not to be boiled down to a number, an intangible goal that will tell them whether or not they will be worth the time and effort. Putting a proficiency requirement on our charter renewal does not make sense. In our middle schoolers' words, the math isn't mathing today, Ms. Ray. Do you understand what it means for students to grow at an accelerated rate and how sustainable that is or isn't for middle schoolers? Do you understand that for an average Badger Rock student arriving in 6th grade to go from the average 3rd grade level to 8th grade in 3 years can seem insurmountable? Do you understand the pressure that puts on educators, families, and students to focus on just one number instead of the whole student? Students can't read if they don't think they can read. They can't do math if they've been told they're no good at it. They spend their time repeatedly second-guessing themselves instead of focusing on the task at hand. They need skills bigger than reading or math alone, and that takes time. To sustain what they would need, more than 1.5 years growth every year for 3 of the hardest, most tumultuous years, very few can maintain this level of elevated rigor. In fact, only about 20% of students nationwide can do it during their middle school years. And these students aren't likely to be in the 3 groups of focused students in our district, which make up, by the way, 75% of our current population at Badger Rock Middle School. Math is not mathing. Do we want it to? Absolutely. And every day our staff show up to accelerate that growth for the whole student. To put a limited proficiency stipulation on a group of exceptional students is not an avid SMART goal at all, because it's not the ultimate goal. Let me put my bilingual resource hat on for just a moment and ask, did you know that 100% of Badger Rock scholars last year who took the Access for ELLs test showed language growth? 100%. That is a direct result of a team of educators working together to provide PBL learning opportunities with avid structures and support built in for every student in the building. The question was asked at the work group meeting in November about why we need a charter. The answer is simple for me. A unique instructional model demands it. PBL and AVID allow us to go beyond instruction to meet the whole student where they are at, know them as individuals, and coach them in growth towards future goals. Renew us for 5 full years. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bree Adams. I'm the school counselor at Badger Rock. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of our school's student support team to very strongly recommend Badger Rock for a full 5-year renewal. We wanted to talk more about how all staff embed social emotional learning into every project, every lesson, every interaction, or how our student support staff delivers weekly universal wellness education, but instead we feel compelled to address the school district's recommendations. 5 years ago, when I started at Badger Rock during lockdown and a global pandemic, my colleagues were coming off the charter renewal process. This time around, it felt like we could finally relax a little and approach this process with some more hope. Why wouldn't we? We're receiving district accolades and praise. We've got so many folks who see how special this school is. We became AVID certified. We have staff presenting to district colleagues, and we've got a thriving, lively ecosystem with students who are growing exponentially in ways we both can and cannot measure. Last year alone, out of 28 eighth graders, we had 4 students receive full rides to UW-Madison, a Sanchez Scholar, a Mann Scholar, and almost half of our students apply to and get accepted into the AVID program. So when the district gave a recommendation of only 3 years for renewal with those stipulations, they would directly threaten this thriving, thoughtfully balanced ecosystem. We as a staff were floored. To be clear, the district's recommendations would directly threaten this ecosystem, would render much of what you're hearing tonight and will hear tonight impossible. Our team, our student support team's role in supporting this ecosystem has been carefully and intentionally carved out over the past several years, to the point where we're delivering universal weekly classroom instruction on wellness and providing preventative social emotional skill building. So when students leave Badger Rock, they can take on the world. If you follow the district's recommendations, as a student support team, we will not be able to deliver tier 1 instruction. We would instead be filling the cracks and supporting the strain these recommendations would place on our system, particularly the addition of 20 students to the building with our current model. Wellness education has become a huge outlet for student voice and leadership, and a chance for us to deliver weekly lessons responsive to our students' needs and their interests. In our pre-assessment this year, half of our entire student body indicated interest in joining a student wellness committee, 42 students. So we have students running our weekly trivia, trying to improve school-wide wellness, and giving input into our wellness curriculum. This ecosystem thrives because students are seen. They can't hide physically because we don't have hallways and the student support staff is always present in the quad, and emotionally because the adults here notice when things seem off, when there's a slight shift in behavior or attitude, when students finally reach that milestone that may seem small on the surface but shows that something finally clicked. Students are seen because of our co-taught, full inclusion, project-based model. If you've been to Badger Rock, you know, and if you haven't been there, you should. Staff and students feel safe and supported and valued and heard. Do not force us to change this model. Trust the voices you hear tonight and renew us for the full 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Saffron, Zahorik, Schultz, and Kate Mesrick, I think. And then following will be Joseph Roses.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Badger Rock proponents, but we would like to shift focus to something very important to us as high schoolers. We are representatives of West High School's March for Our Lives Club. Throughout this school year, we have been advocating for proactive measures to mitigate the threat of gun violence in our school communities. As a club, we are organizing a campaign for safe storage, a powerful mechanism to promote community safety by inhibiting youth firearm access. Safe storage describes barriers to youth gun access through lock boxes, gun locks, gun safes, and other strategies. In over 75% of school shootings, the perpetrator obtained a firearm stored unsafely in their home. Research demonstrates significant correlations between safe storage interventions and reduced gun violence. We have been communicating with West School administration to advance safe storage awareness school-wide and are seeking further support from the school board to promote a district-wide course of action.
Safe storage efforts have become even more pertinent in the wake of the tragic shooting at Abundant Life earlier this week. We recognize the devastating impact of this tragedy on our community, and it's important that we prioritize time for reflection and healing. However, we must not lose the political momentum residing in the aftermath of Monday's attack. We would like to turn your attention to actions through which we can engage in public outreach and policy reform to keep our school system safe. We would like to work with the district to share information with families regarding community-based violence prevention, including educational materials and firearm storage methods. Because Wisconsin currently lacks comprehensive legislation requiring secure gun storage, we ask for your assistance in drafting an MMSD resolution for distributing safe storage information to schools and families.
It is critical that students feel like they belong in the classroom, and the threat of firearm misuse is an immense barrier to our security. We would, however, like to credit the district's ongoing efforts to protect our schools. We would like to recognize numerous instances during the school year where positive relationships between MMSD administration, staff, and students prompted proactive responses to potential threats. Student and staff safety is clearly a prominent district objective, and we are ready to work with you in furthering this goal. Thank you for your time and consideration.
School board members, and Badger Rock community. Tonight, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the amazing individuals who make Badger Rock School so special, and to those who have worked tirelessly on the charter renewal application, all 275 pages. The hundreds of hours that have gone into the charter application process do not go unnoticed. To our students, thank you for your enthusiasm, curiosity, and resilience. You are the heart of Badger Rock, and your eagerness to learn and grow brings energy to our school. Your unique talents and perspectives enrich our community, and we are grateful for your joy and creativity you bring to our school every day. A special thank you to our alum who spoke tonight. To the Badger Rock staff, thank you for your unwavering commitment to our students. Your passion for teaching and your willingness to go above and beyond truly make a difference in the lives of our students, families, and community. Not only do you provide a rigorous and innovative learning experience through avid and project-based learning, but you also prioritize the social-emotional well-being of all students. Your compassion and understanding cultivate a school environment where all students feel welcome, safe, and included. You honor and celebrate students' history, culture, and identity. You inspire our students to reach their full potential and prepare them to be college, community, and career ready. Completing the charter renewal process has highlighted your resilience and commitment and love for Badger Rock Middle School. To the Friends of Badger Rock, also known as Badger Rock Middle School Council, you chose to give your most precious resource, your time, to enrich our community. Thank you for your passion and energy. Your selfless contributions exemplify the mission and vision of Badger Rock. Your support enhances our programming and helps us create a nurturing and caring environment. And let's be real, we would not be able to submit one of the most robust charter applications the state has seen without you. And that's a side note from Sarah Hackett, who is Director of Wisconsin Resource Center. To Rooted Partnership, we are incredibly grateful for your continued partnership and your expertise in urban agriculture, food systems, and food justice. Your contributions not only enrich our curriculum, but also empower our students to understand the importance of sustainable practices and equitable access to food. Together, we are cultivating a brighter future for our community. To the school board, a special thank you for your dedication and hard work in reviewing our application. I know it was a lot. But your meaningful conversations on November 4th work group, I appreciate that. That was a thoughtful conversation. I appreciate it. Your commitment to Badger Rock over the years has shown the importance of thoughtful decision-making. We appreciate your willingness to listen and encourage you to do what's right, to support a full 5-year charter renewal. And I'll end. We are all Badger Rock, one community, one school, one family.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Carlos. I think it's Josue Rodriguez, and then followed by Jamie Olson-Ain.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Carlos Josue Rodriguez, and I'm a freshman at La Fayette High School. I'm here to talk about Badger Rock Middle School and why you should renew its charter to 5 years. I attended Badger Rock for all 3 years of middle school, and it was a wonderful experience. Everyone there is thoughtful and has great connections with each other. This school has caused wonderful things to happen in my life, those in the community of Rooted, and many more. Badger Rock also teaches you helpful skills that you wouldn't find in your average middle school, from planting and harvesting to cooking and serving it to the community. Every teacher and every scholar I've seen has done great things to themselves and those around them. I've seen friends become great people attending at this school. Badger Rock also gives you AVID skills, which can be a huge advantage in high school if you get into the AVID program or not. I personally use these skills given to me by Badger Rock every day to be a better academic scholar. In conclusion, Badger Rock Middle School should renew its charter for 5 years because it's an anchor to the community and those around it. Thank you. Have a good night.
I feel like mine's gonna be kind of a downer. I was working for hours on what to say, and I just decided to stand in front of you like myself, sincerely, without a speech. I'm gonna read what I wrote, but it's not like a raw kind of thing. I'm tired and I'm sad, and I don't know what to say. There's too much to say. I've been at Badger Rock. This is my 12th school year, so over 11 years. It seems like no matter what we do, we are on trial for some reason or another. It seems like we're always accused of either not doing enough or not doing well enough, no matter what we do, how we perform. It feels never good enough. I'm at the point where I don't know what would make the district happy. And that's exhausting and disheartening. But I'll tell you this, kids come back to Badger Rock after they graduate and they thank us. They tell us how much they miss learning math the way it's structured at Badger Rock. The kids teach themselves before we learn together as a class in math at Badger Rock. Kids who come back express disbelief at how quickly their new classmates give up when they're confused about a math topic, or how these students who went to the other middle schools don't know how to help themselves and need a teacher right there with them to explain things to them. They talk about how helpful their middle school math notebooks still are during their freshman year of high school. Carlos is one of those people who came back and said, oh my gosh, I use this all the time. My friends try to use it with me. My friends are asking me for help. They want to give up. And we've had multiple students back and telling us this. I've watched children go from saying, I can't do math, to instead saying, this resource isn't working for me. From saying, I'm bad at math, to instead saying, I'm not in a good place for learning today. I'm going to try again tomorrow. And they do.
I see students actively work through their math trauma. But it takes time and trust and relationships and more time. Why is a test score more important than a child's confidence and self-efficacy? Confidence and efficacy that it takes 3 years and more to build. Why is a test score for a math test given on a computer with no room for small calculation errors based solely on memory, given 1 or 2 days in a school year, more important than a child's ability to use available resources to grapple with a challenging problem and come out the other side? We say we want to build strong learners and engaged learners, and then we pigeonhole their learning based on a measurement that most of us see as flawed in so many ways anyway. 2 years ago, a 6th grader, now an absolutely incredible 8th grader, who I will not name because I did not ask him if I could quote him, said to a classmate, "Why are you using a pen? You know we're going to make mistakes in this journey." And he really, like, literally said that. And he's right. And that's how they learn. So please let them continue learning from their mistakes. If you pressure the teachers to cram information down their throats, you're actually just pressuring the children. And that's not how we build resilient, lifelong learners who believe that they can tackle any challenge. Please allow these beautiful children to have the full, undivided attention of their teachers and administrators for the next 5 years. Thanks for letting me go.
All right, that concludes all of the folks who registered to speak in person. We also have several who did not wish to speak. Jessica Ortiz, written statement of being in support of 5-year charter renewal. Kristen Richgels, also in support of 5-year renewal. Jessica Simmons, in support of 5-year renewal. Maya Kadakia, sorry, 5-year renewal. Eunice McKinney, charter renewal, in support of that. And Quentin Reiser, also in support of the charter renewal for Badger Rock, with a longer letter to the board. So that concludes between our speakers online, our in-person speakers, and those who sent in written statements. That concludes our public input. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to move into the next part of our agenda, which is approval of the minutes. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated November 25th, 2024.
Second, Nikki Vandermeer.
All right, any questions, comments, edits to the minutes? All right, hearing and seeing none. Claire, your advisory vote, and welcome for joining with us tonight.
Thank you.
Your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, none opposed, passes unanimously. All right, for board president announcements and reports, Vice President Pearson and I will share these. And I'll start with celebrating our students. East High School's theater team, the East Side Players, took home several awards at the 2024 Wisconsin Interscholastic Speech and Dramatic Arts Festival. More than 1,800 student competitors from high schools across the state participated in this year's competition, which took place at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. In total, there were 43 one-act performances spread across the festival's 3 days. The East Side Players production of playwright Tim Kelly's one-act play, Country Gothic, received the festival's top prize, the Critics' Choice Award. The group also received awards for Outstanding Ensemble, Outstanding Technical Theater, and Outstanding Directing. Students Anna McCallum Moore and Marcus McCaleb received Outstanding Actor Recognition. Congratulations to the Pergolas.
Celebrating our community, the Board of Education would like to wish the entire a very fun and restful winter break. As a district, we've celebrated many accomplishments in the first half of the school year, and we look forward to.
All right, and to wrap it up, also in tonight's consent agenda, the board would like to acknowledge and thank all individuals and organizations that have donated to our district. One large grant on tonight's agenda includes a $50,000 grant from the Advancing a Healthier Wisconsin Endowment through the Medical College of Wisconsin to support teen parents in MMSD schools. So many thanks to our donors. And with that, I'll pass it over to our superintendent, Dr. Gothard.
Thank you, President Nichols, members of the board, staff, and community. I appreciate this opportunity. So a few things. I'll wait for Jesse to get the slides up. So that cover picture there is pajama day at Olson Elementary School. Was able to read to some second graders. If you were first graders and I'm giving you an extra year, I apologize. But we had a great time and always appreciate interacting with especially our youngest children. Their questions are always surprising, but a lot of fun. So thank you, Olson Elementary, for that opportunity. And I should also mention that one of my former Toki students is a student teacher there, was an SEA for a long time and is now finishing her teaching degree. And to see young people from the community stay committed and stay the course and find ways to advance through the district brings a lot of pride to me. And just wanted to mention that too. So Ms. Randall over there at Olson, keep up the great work. I'm proud of you. Next slide. So some community engagement celebrated all the way back in November, which seems like forever ago, Hmong New Year at the Alliant Energy Center. And I have to tell you, after celebrating many Hmong New Years in a different community, one that boasts the largest Hmong New Year celebration in the country, it was quite amazing to come back to Madison and to see the Hmong community thriving in ways that when I left 11 years ago, wasn't as much. Just to see the pride, the celebration, the community leaders, the young people that are now, you know, the leaders in the next generation. It was really an amazing event. I can't wait for next year's as well. Also in November, volunteered with the Downtown Rotary at the River Food Pantry. And again, went into that thinking one thing of what I was going to be doing at that food pantry. And let me tell you all, before the fall break, I chopped celery for 2 straight hours. And we were preparing home cooked meals and prepping for that. And it made me feel so good the next couple of days when I saw on the news the line of people who were accessing that home cooked meal and ingredients to do their own cooking. Really a wonderful feeling. Food is love, and definitely a lot of love at River Food Pantry over the fall break and the holiday. The annual Centro Hispano annual celebration was also held at the Centro Hispano building. Wonderful to be on site or present for community awards that were given. Many of them to some of our own people right here in MMSD, the Sanchez Awards were definitely highlighted. Also, Carmen Porco, a longtime community leader as well, was given an award. And I should also mention that our students were there performing music as well from La Follette and East High School. And honestly, I thought it was coming through the PA, like something on Spotify or something, and to look over and to see it live and to also learn that it was our students was quite amazing. Also had some time to stop by a packed and busy Simpson Street Free Press newsroom filled with MMSD students and alums. As many of you know, our alumni come back and stay engaged and become kind of the editorial leaders of the organization. Jim Kramer has been a longtime friend, and just really appreciate the work they're doing at the Free Press. I had the chance to connect with the entire MSCR staff. MSCR, anyone who has heard me talk about my story, is such an important part of my youth that I always enjoy spending time with MSCR and sharing those connections to their important work. Mary Roth and her team are doing such a great job and looking for ways to continue evolving with our community as well. You know, our new spaces that board members, I'm so happy that you have supported. It opens up opportunities for us to truly serve our community, birth to forever, as I like to refer to it as. There truly is something there for all of our residents in Madison and our students as well. Also had some wonderful structured visits to Lakeview, Leopold, and Kennedy, and learning a lot about, it's one thing to go to a school and visit, but to center it around some emerging, perhaps problems of practice or challenges that the schools are facing, and trying to focus on those, sometimes few, sometimes more than a few problems, has given me a new lens on MMSD. And when you multiply that at the 3 schools I mentioned by, obviously more than that with 52 schools, you can see that we have our work ahead of us. And if we don't center it on what those present needs are, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to truly engage in that way, so we can get into some active, not problem solving, but support to overcome. So excited about continuing these visits throughout the district and learning more along the way, and also have many more opportunities for engagement scheduled. Dr. McCrae has my calendar just about filled, I think, after break, Dr. McCrae. So I know that we'll be busy engaging with people. Next slide, please, Jesse. I'd like to share some MMSD partnerships. Now, I'll preface this by saying that a wonderful leader in our community is retiring. His name is Dr. Jack Daniels. And he took over Madison College after I left Madison, and I got to learn about him through Umoja or Hugh and online, and to see the great work that was happening, the synergy between the community and Madison College, and certainly MMSD part of the community. And always said to myself, man, I wish I could have, worked with him. He really seems to be poised to take these partnerships to the next step. Well, I get to be here now and share this with you, and I'm excited about these partnerships. We'll offer 3 new early college academies for high school seniors beginning in the 25-26 school year. And it's such a great news because, as you know, we boasted about 61% of our district seniors graduating with at least 1 college credit. Our goal should be 100%, and that's for those who choose it. Doesn't mean that everyone has to, but let's expand and grow the opportunities for all of our students. Courses will be offered at Madison College, and up to 25 students will be admitted to each new program, which includes the Early College Biomedical Academy, the Early College Networking and Cybersecurity Academy, and the Running Start, which is the Personalized Academy. And I'll share just some details about them so you know what I'm talking about. For students interested in medical lab careers, the Biomedical Academy offers hands-on learning in the biohealth fields, helping prepare students for high-wage, in-demand healthcare careers. The Networking and Cybersecurity Academy prepares students interested in technology, networking, and cybersecurity for careers in IT and cybersecurity. Did you know, as a caveat, that there are 3 places in the country right now that are producing the most tech jobs? 2 of them are probably no surprise, Seattle and the Bay Area. The third is Madison, Wisconsin, right here. So these are high demand careers that might be entry level, but they lead to very, very advanced career standing and opportunities for students to grow. So I'm excited about the exposure we're going to be able to provide with Madison College to these careers. The other one is the Running Start. The Personalized Academy allows students to create their own program of study, providing flexibility and the opportunity to explore various career paths. They'll work with Madison College advisors to tailor a course schedule that leads to a technical diploma in a high demand field. Again, providing students autonomy and choice and agency. This is just wonderful. I never would have imagined a personalized academy like that. And to think that we're doing it is just outstanding. We'll continue to offer the Early College Academy, Early College Education Academy, of which offers a pathway into teaching. Students can earn 30 college credits toward a liberal arts transfer education associate degree, and it will help take their first step towards a degree in education. And of course, the Early College STEM Academy, which is another option available to students. It's designed for students who want to explore science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, with a focus on increasing access for underrepresented students in STEM fields. This program offers a chance to earn college credits while building a strong foundation for STEM careers. And again, you can find more information than this on our MMSD website. This should be something that we're really proud of, that you're proud of as a board, that we're proud of as a community. And it shows when we come together and we just forget about all the barriers and the reasons why not, we can really center this great work. Finally, Jesse, our final slide is our literacy initiative, Mad for Reading, which will launch on National Reading Day at Southside Elementary on January 23rd, 2025. We'll be sharing more information about the details of this, but would like the entire community to be aware of and also attend and participate if you can. We know that literacy is the key to opening doors, unlocking the world around us. Mad for Reading provides an opportunity for us to engage the entire community on a powerful journey of learning, imaging, and growth. We're excited to begin the program. President Nichols, members of the board, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gothard. I just want to say I really appreciate how much you are committed to being out in the community, not just, it never sounds like you're just out in the community to like show up. You are deeply immersed, involved, like in the celebrations, in the volunteer work, in the just really being present, and also just acknowledging how much our school district needs and is stronger because of the various community partners in this community that give a lot of time, talent, energy, resources to our district. So thank you for being present with them, and loved hearing about your school visits and the excitement we should all have around our early college academies. So appreciate your update as always. All right, we will keep moving. Next up is a report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on December 9th, 2024, and I'll hand that over to Chair Muldrow.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. This past month, we focused on culture, climate, and attendance. We had an incredible conversation where we highlighted our entire K through 12 system and heard from 3 schools, a school at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. Going into January, we will start the year off by getting ready to plan for summer school. It's already that time, y'all. And that means we get to review all of the excellent opportunities that enhanced our summer school experience in the year 2024 and think through what we want to do in 2025. And this will be an extensive conversation in which we get to navigate kind of the moving parts of summer school holistically. The second thing we will do in January is focus on the progress made by the Superintendent's Wellness Advisory Committee. We'll be hearing a brief progress update from them. Thank you, Chair Nichols.
Thank you for that. Next, we're going to report on items that proceeded through the operations work group. Although we did not have a meeting in December, I'm going to pass it over to Chair Castro to talk about what's coming up.
Thank you. We did not hold an operations work group meeting in December. Our next meeting will be January 13th, where we will look at initial revenue projections for our budget, talk about our strategy for addressing this year's budget cycle. We will hear from HR regarding recruitment and retention to date this year and the progress we're making. And then finally, we will have a facilities update and look at two policies that will come our way on January 13th.
It's going to be a busy meeting. All right, we did have an item that proceeded through the instruction work group, which is the Badger Rock charter renewal. So want to thank again all of the folks that came out to speak tonight and who have also been sending in emails and also submitted written statements. All right, we'll start with the motion and then see if we have any discussion. I move that the Board of Education renew the charter for Badger Rock Middle School for a period of 3 years from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2028, with an automatic 2-year extension contingent on Badger Rock Middle School meeting specific enrollment requirements and academic performance goals as expressly stated in the Badger Rock Feedback and Recommendations Board Memo dated December 10th, 2024.
Second, Maya.
All right, What discussion do we have? All right, I see Board Member Simkin and then Board Member Muldrow.
Thank you. There's a lot of special places in MMSD, and I believe that Badger Rock is one of those places. I've been really impressed with Badger Rock, with their curricular model, project-based learning, with their rotating curricular focus on air, earth, and water, with their many deeply meaningful partnerships, and with their accomplishments. And not only that, but when I visited, it felt good. And not just good, it was incredibly welcoming and supportive. I met educators and administrators who are clearly self-motivated to innovate, to reflect, and to adjust their practices in a cycle of thoughtful change. I think that as a board, we should embrace the unique aspects of Badger Rock's model. I don't want to put stipulations on their next charter. I think that the board, that their program could be expanded, but I wouldn't want to diminish their community by requiring more students without having the ability for them to add another classroom. I think that if there is an ability to expand their space, that we should support that, because their program should be expanded if it could be. I also believe there's many opportunities for learning for other schools in MMSD based on what Badger Rock is accomplishing now. And so based on that, I would like to propose an amendment to our action. Is now the time to do that? Okay. I'll do it and then you guys do what you want with it. I move that the Board of Education renew the charter for Badger Rock Middle School for a period of 5 years from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2030.
Get Nikki Vandermeulen.
Now I have to do, yep. All right, we'll take discussion on the amendment. All right, Board Member Muldrow.
I greatly appreciate the amendment. I was here 5 years ago when Badger Rock came in front of us, and there's only 3 of the 7 of us who were part of the board at that time. And I think what I remember is really wanting Badger Rock to be successful. If you go back to February of 2020, none of us knew what was about to hit us, right? And so I greatly appreciate folks understanding that those goals were not set with the intention of setting folks up to fail. They were set with an understanding that there are a lot of kids who would greatly benefit from the opportunity of attending Badger Rock. We have a lot of middle schoolers who are really struggling. And so our hope was that we would expand and extend the opportunity to more students. I still think that we want to see Badger Rock grow as a school. And I do think that there's some real complexity in using the Badger Rock model throughout the rest of our district when the vast majority of our district, our middle schools are serving hundreds of children every single day. And so if we say, why can't you be more like Badger Rock? It feels pretty unobtainable to embrace the structure you all have at the scale that most of our middle schools are expected to operate. And so I'm really torn right now about what it means to ensure that more students have this opportunity, that kids are coming off the wait list and getting into the school and getting to be a part of this vibrant and beautiful community that you all have created, and balancing that with what makes the community successful in the first place. I want to talk a little bit about the academic goal that we have, because I wholeheartedly agree, right? Like that the test score is not what defines the capacity of our children intellectually. And I think that in looking to next year, the group of kids who are going to enter 6th grade are children who miss their kindergarten year and their first grade year. So these are kids that we have watched really struggle with foundational skills in terms of literacy and math. And I have some concerns about what it means to have this really intense expectation specific to that group. The other thing I've thought about a lot is the message that we send the community in this renewal process. And so if folks are out there thinking this might be the right school for me, I think that if you're thinking about enrolling your kid next year or the year after that, you want some assurance that the school is going to be there when they finish, right? That my kid is going to, if I get my kid into this school, that they're going to get to go in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so I think balancing that kind of anxiety with what this renewal process looks like is tremendously important. I want to hope that there is a middle ground, that we can find a way to have shared goals in terms of the expectations related to enrollment. And so is there a middle ground that is getting to 100 or getting to 110 students over the course of the next 5 years? I think that the pandemic created a very specific barrier, and my hope is that we don't see a barrier like that again, but none of us know what the future holds. And I think it's our job to rise to the occasion of any given moment and work together as a community. So I support Board Member Simpkins' amendment, but I do want to think about what it means to have real expectations of our instrumentalities. And one of the defining characteristics of our instrumentalities, one of the things that I think makes our instrumentalities exceptionally different in comparison to our 2X charters, is that our instrumentalities are expected to explain to the community the progress that they're making. And so I think having this conversation, having standards and expectations and ensuring that they are achievable and realistic is part of our work in terms of what the Board of Education is responsible for in collaboration with you all as an instrumentality. I've compared Badger Rock to Shabazz in the past in terms of kind of the size and scale, although the difference would be that Shabazz is a very small school that serves an additional grade. It's 4 years versus 3 years. And so where is the pressure to grow throughout our system in terms of enrollment, especially when a school has a unique capacity to serve students differently? I think that's it for my comments, but I want folks to know we're thinking about this really intentionally. And I'm hoping that within the amendment, we can continue to hold ourselves to both high expectations and achievable expectations.
Thank you, Board Member Muldrow. I'll come over to Board Member Mosner-Feltham and then follow up with Board Member Bannon.
Nothing like going after Board Member Muldrow. I also support Board Member Simpkins' motion for a couple of reasons. One is sort of just like in my experience working in secondary schools, and I say this to a lot of people, it takes 3 years to make a change or build something and 5 years to get it right. And so for that reason, the changes that we want to see at Badger Rock, to imagine like I think that 3 years is just too little for those changes. The other thing that I wanted to say is that we just passed this like amazing facilities referendum with our eyes on the middle school, knowing that we have to make changes to our middle school program citywide. And what I hope is that we can learn from what Badger Rock is doing when we're thinking about all of our middle schools. And I don't want to be in a I'm trying to say that I want to learn from Badger Rock, and I support the 5-year renewal. Is kind of the basics there.
Board Member Bannon.
Badger Rock, originally, as I said at the last meeting, I originally had a negative experience that turned into a positive experience. And I think that means we need to continue to allow an instrumentality charter to be just that, a unique learning experience. That doesn't mean they don't have to follow rules or follow things in the district. It means they do it a different way. I've always had a problem with basing anything on test scores. In fact, I wouldn't be here if the majority of things were based on test scores because of high marks in one area and considered cognitively disabled in others. So I would be a hypocrite not to. I'd be a hypocrite to believe that we should base it on the test. On the size of the school, I think that's something we can negotiate. But I've seen no reason why there should not be an extension for 5 years, and therefore I'm happy to support this amendment.
Vice President Pearson.
Yeah, so I just need clarification about the amendments. Are you saying the 5 years, so essentially changing the original motion from the 3 years to the 5 years with the same stipulations as set forth in the memo? Or are you just saying scrap the memo? We're just going to give an extension for 5 years.
I'm saying without adding those stipulations. And I think part of that is because when it comes to their ability to add a classroom, that's not fully within their ability at this time to do that. I don't want them to overfill their classes and then have that start to break down their model. And what I think I share what some other folks have talked about as far as test scores. It makes me uncomfortable to put that in as a requirement.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I have a question for Joe and maybe TJ or other instruction folks. The set of recommendations as it relates to instruction outside of enrollment, but instruction, not necessarily the ones about the test scores per se, but some of the recommendations, are these recommendations that I guess we can say are in line with with our other middle schools? And so kind of asking that question around what Ali mentioned just about having high expectations for all of our middle schools, but also for Badger Rock at the same time as achievable ones.
So to answer your question, yes. The recommendations that we based are based upon our district improvement plan that all schools are using for the next year. So what we have put before you will be the same thing that all middle schools will be looking at.
Okay, thank you. I have been a part of the Badger Rock community in many ways as like long before I was a board member, being a part as a small business owner, going to the holiday or every Saturday, like selling wares and having like the markets. I've had my garden there for multiple years. I've participated in the community dinners and have definitely built really long lasting relationships with some of the staff there. And so I balance that hat, right? As well as ensuring that as a school board member hat, that we are doing the best to set up our kids, our schools, in this case, Badger Rock up for success. I support the 5-year renewal, but I don't know if I can support it without having some expectations. And the reason why I say that is one, because in 2020, when running for school board, again, this was actually a really hot topic at that time too, with the previous principal. And I remember the conversations around enrollment. And enrollment was very important in trying to ensure, and yes, there was a plan of having that second phase, and I remember those conversations. I don't know if 120, just because of the constraints of the building, would be setting the school up for success. But I do think enrollment and increase in having opportunities for other students to possibly be a part of this amazing community that has been created, I think is important. So I don't know if I can support the amendment as is, without some kind of expectation, whether that is an enrollment and a compromise. I do like the compromise that was proposed. I'm not really for the stipulations around testing because what other board members have mentioned. But I do think that having similar expectations to our other middle schools ensures that some continuity as well. And so as is, I can support it, but I don't know what the right expectation is on the floor, and changing some of those. So I just wanted just to state that and give my response.
Before I go to Board Member Castro and have my own comments, I just want to clarify, even when we vote on the renewal of the charter, there's still a contract, right, that comes after the vote of the renewal. And so some of those details can be worked out in the actual contract. That's correct, right? Okay. 'Cause we had a similar conversation when we renewed Nuestro Mundo. There were certain things that we wanted to do to renew, and then some details were going to be kind of worked out in the contract, and that the board would then be notified of when the contract was going forward. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Board Member Castro.
Thank you. Yeah, I think by this point in Badger Rock's existence, through, you know, the painstaking effort of staff, teachers, students, partners, community members, Badger Rock has become a foundational rock, no pun intended, to the community and unique experiences. However, Badger Rock is an instrumentality, and so the purpose of instrumentalities is to provide a unique instructional experience that is in part different from our community schools, neighborhood schools elsewhere in the district. So I think it's important that, like all schools within MMSD, folks are expected to meet a standard, have goals, have stipulations for continuous improvement. So to me, it's important that those are stipulated somewhere. I don't want it to be questioned whether Badger Rock will be existing or not. So I would support a 5-year. How those goals are stipulated in our contractual relationship as an instrumentality, to me, is the question. I would like to see this opportunity, this unique instructional opportunity, open to more students in the district. How? This is a space, or at least adjacent space next door, that just received very new renovations, a brand new space. So I think there's a lot of room to use our imaginations here. And then when it comes to the academic testing goals, I think those can't be the only things we focus on, but it is something that we should look at. It shouldn't be the cornerstone of assessing student achievement, but it should be a piece. So I'd be interested in learning more about how we can stipulate some of those continuous improvement goals, but I don't want it to be questioned whether this school exists or not.
Thank you. I will add myself in. First of all, I want to acknowledge all of the incredible and obvious hard work that was put into this charter renewal proposal. 275 pages is no joke. I want to acknowledge the rallying from parents. You know, the board oftentimes, people don't like it when we don't respond to emails. And I'll own that I don't always respond to every email, but I see the emails, and I noted all of the emails that came in from parents of current students, parents of former students, students who were former students, all of the community letters of support that came in. And I also want to acknowledge our MMSD team's application review committee, right? Because all of this is time and energy to be in good service of young people getting a great learning opportunity. There's two things I think that stand out for me in our administration's recommendations. And the two things that stand out to me is that one of them is making a real emphasis on kind of the minimum enrollment. I saw in the charter renewal application kind of a strong desire to want to redefine that minimum instead of what had been agreed upon in a previous contract. And I've heard the public comment tonight about why adding an additional 20, 25 more students, given the space and the instructional model, would prove challenging. But it seems like the minimum enrollment was one criteria that seemed, kind of as a driver, so to speak, for the 3-year focus. And then also some of the achievement. But when I look at kind of the academic performance goals, they are the same as our school improvement goals. These are the same percentages that we almost start every instructional work group with when we talk about school and district improvement. So I think where I'm at is I also am in support of the 5-year because I feel like what our district, we may be at a point where we need to go back and reevaluate our charter renewal process. I think that we might want to get clearer as a district on when we say that there should be a minimum enrollment, like what are the ways in which we help a school or that we guide a school on that as it continues to operate? And is enrollment alone kind of like the thing, or and how does the enrollment fit with the square footage of a building and the quality of the programming? And of course, we have to be committed to student achievement. And I do think when we are saying yes to an instrumentality charter, we are also saying yes to a unique learning experience. It doesn't mean that achievement isn't important, but we might also hold some other ways in which we see achievement for a young person. So I think because we haven't reestablished a new way of considering our own charter school renewal process, I think that, I would be in support of going forward with the 5-year, and then maybe I'm looking at you, Dr. Gothard, like maybe that's some of the work that we start to look forward to. Like if we're going to continue to renew and or authorize any instrumentality charter of the district, how do we get clearer about what are really the drivers for a school maintaining their charter or not? It for me, it doesn't seem like the timing is right for us to maybe reestablish that right now. Yes, Dr. Gothard.
President Nichols, members of the board, if I may respond to that, I think this conversation, the way that you just framed that is making me think less about instrumentality and more about how do you as a board, how do we as a community want to support innovative schools? To me, the instrumentality right now is seen as a contract. It's seen as a renewal. It's seen as a process. And I think if we want to begin looking at our schools, our spaces, our opportunities as a chance for innovative learning, it could potentially be a different discussion that may very well dovetail with, I think, where we're leading this conversation right now. So I appreciate that. And I think our staff would agree as well.
All right. So I want to make sure I restate the motion as you said it, Laura. your motion was to renew the contract for 5 years from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2030. Did I capture that correctly? Okay. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, aye. Okay, 1, 2. Okay. Those opposed? 1. All right, 2. All right, so that passes. And then, oh, and Claire, I'm sorry, I didn't ask for your advisory vote on that one.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And now I need to go back to the main motion that we started with, which if I can get my computer up. Okay, I got to do duo. Okay. We already had the initial motion read and seconded. So that one again was for 3 years with the stipulation. All right. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Sorry, y'all. All right, let me reread the new motion with the amendment. It's nice to have people on the left, people on the right. Okay. All right. I move that the Board of Education renew the charter for Badger Rock Middle School for a period of 5 years from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2030.
Second.
All right. Claire, your advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor? All right. Looks like that passes unanimously. And now I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. I guess I'll just take a moment before I go to the consent agenda to say congratulations to Badger Rock Middle School on your charter renewal. Are we taking a, are we okay? Keep going? Or does anybody want to recess? Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the December 19th or 19th, 2024 regular school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board. Thank you, Board Member Castro. Any separations? All right, hearing and seeing none. Claire, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye. All right, that will be 6-0 passes. Okay, moving on to other reports of the board. All right, starting with the City County Schools Collaborative Committee. Laura and I are on that committee together. We attended the meeting on December 11th. We had a short conversation about the topics that we might want to discuss in 2025. And we also discussed whether this committee will remain at the City of Madison. So more to come forward about this committee. Our next meeting is proposed to be January 8th. All right, Student Senate.
On December 4th, we had a regular Student Senate meeting with a Board of Education report from Megan and discussed the contents. On December 18th, we had a committee meeting where the two committees, mental health and academic leadership, worked on their projects. And then our next meeting is the 8th of January.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee, Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Yeah, so some MSCR updates. The district's investment in MSCR co-curriculars in middle school is already having an impact on schools. Through the end of November, so through the end of last month, 64% of MMSD middle school students have participated in at least one MSCR club or activity, nearly matching last year's end of the year total percentage. So by the end of November, already where we were at the end of the year last year. It's really exciting. And the average number of students attending on a daily basis has also increased 32% compared to last year. So we heard Dr. Gothard talk about his experience in MCR as a young person. Our middle school students are getting that. It's really exciting. And demand for community rec programs remains strong. First day of MSCR winter program registration had nearly 11,000 registrations on that first day. Yeah, like, wow, cool. We're looking forward to providing input on how the referendum 2024 projects can be designed to support community use of our schools. And our next meeting is scheduled for the middle of January. I'm sorry that I don't remember the exact date.
All right. Oh, we have our Citizens Ad Hoc Committee to name Southside Elementary.
Evening, everyone. The ad hoc committee met on December 10th and decided to keep 10 proposals under consideration. The committee reconvened on December 17th to rank the top 4 proposals. The top 4 names in order of ranking are Southside Community, Ada Deer, Lori Mann Carey, and Nine Springs. In accordance with board policy, 2 of the names are of individuals who have passed away. The next step is for the ad hoc committee to hold a public hearing, which is scheduled for Tuesday, January 7th at 6 p.m. This hearing will be virtual and live streamed on YouTube. It offers an opportunity for the committee to gather input from both the public comments submitted on the website and the speakers at the meeting. Afterward, the committee will be asked to confirm the 4 names. Once the final 4 names are confirmed, Chairperson Greg Jones, along with other committee members, will formally present the recommendations to the board during the instructional work group meeting on February 3rd. The final vote on the recommendations will take place at the regular board meeting on February 24th. Board members will be briefed again in January. We would like to express our gratitude to all the committee members who have contributed to this process, and a special thank you to Mr. Greg Jones for his thoughtful and dedicated leadership as chairperson. And thank you to the board for all your support.
Sorry, just online, it just has the tabulation where Marlene Ann Cummings has 143, so she's part of the 4 and not Lori Mann Carey. So I don't. Oh, the trial. Okay, thank you.
All right, next is the Policy Committee. Is there an update? No update? Okay. Board Governance Committee. Did you want to do an update?
I'm going to say we don't have an update at this time.
Okay. We are now at other business, which is the Wisconsin Association of School Boards proposed resolutions for the January 2025 Delegate Assembly meeting. I will be attending this year's Wisconsin Association of School Board Conference to represent our board. Are you, Board Member Muldrow? You were also, okay, attending. So this motion directs me to vote in a particular way. So I'm just going to read the motion. I move that the Board of Education direct Board Representative Nichelle Nichols to vote in approval of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2025 resolutions, items 2501-01, 25-12 at the January 2025 State Education Convention Delegate Assembly meeting.
Second.
Okay. Can I just share one thing, board members? I have, Board Member Muldrow and I have not had an opportunity to talk about these resolutions prior to going to the conference. I have read the resolutions as they're stated. I think most of them are, there wouldn't be anything that we would object to. You know, there's things in here for the most part. There might be something that you are object to, Board Member Simkin, around childhood, but hold one moment. I'd like to just bring attention to one thing. So one of the resolutions, 25-08, is accountability and school report card standards. And their recommendation is that the WASB supports timely revision of the school accountability system to calculate school and district report card overall scores based on student achievement only. Other data may be included for informational purposes, but not used in calculating the overall score. Consistent grade bands should be used rather than school building configuration. And right now, the DPI, when they publish school and district report cards, they're using achievement data, growth data, target group outcomes, and on track to graduate. And then there's also a weighting in the percentage for schools and districts who have higher numbers of economically disadvantaged students. So I would need to look more into this with Board Member Muldrow, but right now I wouldn't support their language, but I'm happy to learn more, talk to Dr. Gothard about this, because maybe I'm missing something about why we would only want to go to student achievement, but I don't know if that represents the values that we have. Yes, Board Member Muldrow.
Yeah, I want to support you in your interrogation of that specific amendment. And in part, I want to ask us to think more expansively about student achievement. Why is a snapshot or a test so much more relevant than a child's like overall grade or mastery of skills and the variety of ways that's reflected throughout their educational experience? I think elevating test scores to the point of being the only thing that determines the quality of the education a student is getting in their schools is to the detriment of our students and our educators. So thank you for bringing that up. I do want to say I strongly support Resolution 2511, which is about funding school meal debt. And so I appreciate the ability to be critical of these amendments and to also see amendments that I think reflect what's in the best interest of our entire state and Madison specifically.
Board Member Muldrow. Let me go back to Board Member Simkin. Please let me know if there's another resolution that you think needs attention. I'll come back to Board Member Castro and then go back to Board Member Mosner-Feltham.
Thank you. So I am definitely pulling out 2506 for us to think about, which is the resolution that talks about publicly funding 3K programming. And I have one other resolution, but we can go around to the others before we get back to that one. For this resolution in particular, I'm strongly against it as it is worded. What it is saying is that we are making yet another shift from being able to have our childcare infrastructure be funded into moving those same limited funds into schools. And it is, what is happening is the impact of 4K has been to greatly diminish the amount of childcare that exists in our state. If we start to publicly fund 3K, I can see very easily that will lead to the total collapse of our childcare infrastructure within our state. We are about a quarter of the way there right now. So there is some language in this that talks about public-private partnerships, but I don't feel comfortable that it is strong enough language that that would not be the cascading result.
Thank you for that, Board Member Simkin. Board Member Castro?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I cannot support the report card resolution. I think we need to investigate the way that school report cards have been leveraged to punish predominantly poor and Black and brown schools, not just here but across the country, and especially with test scores. A lot of research indicating they are directly correlated with economic status. Is problematic. So there's a lot of interrogating, and so I just support it.
Thank you. Board Member Mosner-Feltham?
Sure. I'm thinking about the saying when the measure becomes the goal, like it's not a helpful measure anymore. We talk, student achievement, student achievement, student achievement, but like our goal is student learning, and the achievement measure is supposed to tell us about student learning. And so I look forward to more conversation with this board on
Okay, I'm gonna go, Vice President Pierce, come to you for Member Vanderpool.
Yeah, for the resolution 2506, the early childhood education, I just wanted to respond. I think I understand your position, Laura, and I just want to add that there are communities in our state, just from my own knowledge, educational systems in our state, but correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand and what I know is that there are communities in our state who are struggling, like school districts and childcare facilities. And so I wonder if this would allow school districts and childcare facilities to create partnerships in ways to allow to ensure that both aren't collapsing. And so that may be the case in Madison or like larger cities like Madison. So I'm thinking of like Milwaukee or Green Bay or something like that, where it could potentially like have very negative impact on childcare facilities and just childcare across the board. But I'm thinking of also like statewide, those smaller kind of communities. So I would be interested to hear from some of the smaller communities on where they kind of think this kind of lies. And this is just from my own knowledge that I know of just how some of the structures in smaller communities are struggling really on both ends. And I don't know if it's necessarily tied to per se the actual funding for 3K or 4K, as it is just funding for public education and then also childcare just within our state. So I just wanted just to add that. So I also am totally against the course scorecard one. So I don't know if we want to vote on that, but I'm against that one. And yeah, I noticed the oh, I did want to just add if we can ask them to add for the educational objectives for 2509, somewhere civic engagement being something that is extremely important for our state and for our young people, to kind of focus in on where some of our educational objectives and key curricular areas that we want to see growth. So it has like science, math, language arts, social studies, foreign language, tech. If we can add civic engagements and possibly art. So
Ellen?
Just so we know, Nikki, your mic is not on. We can't hear you online.
Oh dear. Can I start over really quickly?
Sure. Who's
That was Cindy.
Yes, go ahead, Board Member Van der Meulen.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. Yes, I am very against the report cards. Absolutely. That's absolutely inane to put student achievement in that way. Number two, I agree with Laura on the childcare. My biggest fear on the childcare is the way we fund public education. On that, if we do publicly funded 3K, it will be used to weaponize against many schools, and it will only raise the cost, in my opinion. But I am not an expert on this issue, therefore I will defer to the person who works in the field. Laura does, I do not. And the last one, I absolutely agree with Maya to add civic education because it is absolutely essential. Thank you.
Board Member Malta?
Board Member Simkin, I want to really respectfully disagree with you, in part because if the public option eliminated the private sector or for-profit option, we wouldn't have private education K through 12. And we live in a community that has a thriving private school community. And so I guess my question for you is, why would 3K be so dangerous for the private sector or the profit, the more profit driven sector, be so dangerous it would eliminate or destabilize that entire infrastructure? And yet we've had tuition-free public education for a very long time, and that has not eliminated private school.
I am glad to speak about this. So the business model for childcare in our country and in our state is very, well, it's not a good business model at all. It relies on early childhood educators working at minimum wage or below for extremely long hours. And so what has happened when childcare programs are created, they're generally created with a wide range of ages. So you have your infants and you have your all the way up to your 4-year-olds, or that's how you used to have it. And you could have one teacher with, let's say, 12 or 10 4-year-olds, but you can have one teacher with 4 infants. Parents can't afford the equivalent rate having a room that only has 4 children and paying a fourth of that teacher's salary. So what childcare programs do is they subsidize the cost of infant and toddler care through the enrollment of preschool age children, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. As 4K has come about throughout the state, what happened is that a large number of 4-year-olds have come out of those childcare programs and they've been closing. So there are thousands upon thousands of childcare programs that have closed within the last decade, maybe 15 years now, because of the impact of not having 4-year-olds available anymore. That then has raised the rate of childcare to the point where families can't afford it. And then families are moving to unregulated care, which can be unsafe and not healthy for children. 3-year-olds are all that childcare programs have left, because you can still put one teacher with 10 3-year-olds. If you take the 3-year-olds out of the system, childcare programs, for the most part, will not be available to anybody except for those who are wealthy. And then we'll have a lot of unregulated childcare for our infants and toddlers.
So that's the system that we're working with right now.
I really appreciate you explaining the system in its entirety, and I think there are factors that for somebody who aligns politically in the way that I do, you know, the idea of sending your infant to daycare. I have a 3-year-old. We pay more for her to go to school than our mortgage, but like in a country that doesn't have maternity leave, right? In a country that doesn't guarantee your access to childcare and subsidizes childcare in ways that don't really account for the reality of poverty in our world. I think this is a really complicated conversation. The window of opportunity in education is 0 to 4, right? These are some of the most important years of any young person's life in terms of establishing their ability to be successful academically. And so part of what I worry about is if we're saying we're seeing kids pushed out into, you know, not certified daycares, places that aren't developmentally specializing in that kid, or kids are ending up watching a lot of TV at a relative's house while their mom, you know, pieces together who can watch them because she can't afford daycare. 3K seems like a solution. It also seems like a solution to exploiting the workforce of early childhood, right? Because instead of having folks work at, you know, for minimum wage at La Petite, you can have folks work for a school district and be union members and have kind of the renewal of the integrity of the profession. I think what we're talking about is really, really complicated. And I want to, you know, I guess caution us on how we have this conversation with the rest of the state while uplifting, I think, the real complexity that you're bringing to light. And so I think at this time, I want to support you in saying this isn't necessarily an amendment we want to see go forward without having a nuanced discussion of what it means. But I do think ultimately, if you're a person who can't afford 3K right now and can't get your kid into the kind of programming that would support their long-term academic success, you can't give your kid the foundation that they need. I don't want to rob anybody of that opportunity. And so thank you for allowing us to have a nuanced discussion and encouraging us to do that when we go to this conference.
Yes, or, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I would be in support of a prenatal through K resolution. I think that we are trying to reform a very imperfect system where hopefully I don't want a system where children are viewed as commodities to sustain a system, so everyone gets what they need. I would support the prenatal through K. Well,
All right, thank you so. Yeah.
Can I just say something? I know something about this. So there's a lot of research that's been done on this over the last 15 years or so. So this isn't a conversation that is unique that we're having. We can certainly pull together resources if we want to dig into this more deeply because it's all there with all the statistics. And yes, the answer is public funding for all children. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for this. What Monica and I kind of discussed is because the motion right now reads that you all would approve me voting in support of resolution items 25-01 all the way to 25-12. That's the main motion. What I heard was that you all actually would not want to approve automatically 25-06, which is the early childhood education. And you would not automatically want us to approve resolution 25-08, accountability and school report card standards. So I wonder if we pull those two out and do those as like separate votes, and then we can still vote on the rest of the motion. Yes, board member.
Would it be appropriate to um, adjust a motion to allow Michelle to vote based off of our discussion, like as see fit, like give her the discretion to make a vote based off of like our conversation. I mean, it might not be as clear cut, but there might be some nuances that we learn at the meeting. Yeah, that makes sense. And so what our general counsel essentially said is that we can choose to do that. However, then that would just give her leeway to vote how she would like to based off of that. Or we can just do what she proposed and create the separation. I'm just reiterating because the mic was not on and people online cannot hear her. So, or do the separation as Michelle mentioned before. So, okay, I just was asking, just like clarifying if that's money.
Okay, Board Member Simkin, I think came forward with a proposal.
Yeah, so
There's,
last year at the meeting, by the time they got to the vote, things had changed pretty tremendously for a number of them. So I think that we have to allow our representatives to then use their judgment in the end because some of the resolutions didn't look anything like they started.
My point of clarification is, are we allowed to abstain on those two?
Abstain your from voting?
Yes.
Well, that's only if she pulls them out.
If she pulls those two out, could we instruct her to abstain from those two that?
Oh, for her to abstain?
Yes,
You to abstain.
for her to abstain. Yes.
No, I would advise it.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think so, but I wanted to make sure.
so let me go back. We have a motion that basically right now says that we would be voting in approval of all of the stated resolutions. We know that there's two for sure as of tonight, what we would not be in support of. We don't, and what I also hear Board Member Simpkins saying is, and once we get there, we may learn some other things in the discussion, and there may be some additional resolutions that upon further information, we may also not be in support of, but we can't necessarily anticipate that tonight. So to your point, Vice President Pearson, I don't know if the motion using the discretion, I don't know if that's the best motion, because I think board members want to know that we're representing the Madison School District while we're there. But as of right now, there's only two separations that I hear. So, Monica, should we proceed as we discussed? Yes, Board Member Castro.
It may be imperfect, but I will introduce an amendment to amend the motion to direct Board Representative Michelle Nichols to vote in discretion on the WASB resolutions.
I second.
Okay, discussion on that. All right, I see Board Member Vandermeulen, and then we'll come to Board Member Muldrow.
I understand things change on the floor, but I am not comfortable in this situation as much as I trust my board. On this situation, I'm not comfortable, so I will vote nay, and then if it passes, then agree.
Board Member Muldrow.
I appreciate the trust of the board and I appreciate the board president's ability to represent the board. I think that is inherent to the role of board president in so many facets of our work. I think like we have to be able to make real decisions informed by the long-term relationships we as a board have with one another. in real time during this meeting. And I very much appreciate Board Member Simkin letting us know that these amendments do change and change significantly, and the implications are things we need to take into consideration.
Okay, so we have an amendment. I can't exactly restate the amendment right now. Can you restate it, Board Member Castro?
Okay, I move to amend the motion to say, direct Board Representative Michelle Nichols to vote in discretion of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2025 resolutions.
Seconded, okay. Oh, Board Member Mosner Feltham?
I
Okay,
That was an amendment. I'm sorry.
We can't put an amendment on
But
the
can it be
floor
to the
until
amendment?
new amendment.
Oh, we have to vote that one. Okay.
We
got
have
it.
to vote. Friendly amendment?
Oh, it would be a friendly amendment. I would like
Okay,
to make a
it's
friendly
friendly.
amendment. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, Board Member Castro, if you would like to, modify your amendment, to include language, based on our conversation. That, Board President should vote with her discretion based on the conversation that we've had as a board.
Approved. Yes. 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 Based off the wisdom of this conversation.
let's restate the now friendly updated amendment as submitted by Member Castro.
I move that the Board of Education direct Board Representative Michelle Nichols to vote in discretion, comma, based off the conversation of the General Board of Education meeting dated December 19th, 2024 at the Wisconsin School Board's 2025 resolution.
I second it still.
Yeah, okay. All right, we've been doing some good work tonight. Claire, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor of this amendment? Aye. 6, okay, those opposed? All right, thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. All right, so the amendment passed. Now you want me to go back and restate the main motion? Yes, yes, yes. I move that the Board of Education direct Board Representative Michelle Nichols to use her discretion based on the conversation of the General Board of Education meeting dated December 19th, 2024. For the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2025 resolutions at the January 2025 State Education Convention Delegate Assembly meeting. All right, thank you, Board Member Muldrow. Okay. Claire, your advisory vote on that?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor? All right, now we have passed that unanimously. Thank you. All right, we have no other old business.
I have old business, sorry. The MSCR.
We have a business item?
I know the date for the next one. The next MSCR one, I got the date. January 22nd.
All right.
2025.
Got it.
The next MSCR Advisory Council meeting, in my report, I said it was in January and I didn't know the date.
Got it. And
Now I know the date. Old business that I'm going back to. The date is January 20th.
Thank you. All right, y'all. We've made it through 2024. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second, Maya.
All right. All those in favor of that? Any amendments? Adjourned. Thank you. Oh, Claire, I know.
New year, everyone.
Sorry, I forgot to ask your advice vote on that.
All good. Thank you. Bye.